Well, that man who hopped the White House fence and dashed all the way inside is due in federal court today. Omar Gonzalez, a retired Army vet, faces up to 10 years behind bars if convicted. After the incident on Friday, he was armed with a small knife, and now the Secret Service is talking about setting up new security checkpoints there. Another former Secretary of Defense for President Obama says President Obama made mistakes in Iraq and Syria. Speaking to 60 Minutes, Leon Panetta says the president waited too long to arm Syrian rebels.
I think the president's concern, and I understand it, was that he had a fear that if we started providing weapons, we wouldn't know where those weapons would wind up. My view was you have to begin somewhere.
Panetta also says the U.S. pulled out of Iraq too early. This comes after former Defense Secretary Robert Gates last week said that the Obama administration will need to use boots on the ground to defeat ISIS. That runs contrary to what the president and the administration has promised. Amid tight security, Pope Francis is visiting the largely Muslim nation of Albania. He attacked militants who kill in the name of religion, saying no one can act as the armor of God. The Pope has turned down extra security on this trip despite warnings that he is a target for ISIS. And the search continues for a missing University of Virginia student named Hannah Graham. Police in Charlottesville want to talk to a man who they believe was last seen with Graham alive before she vanished nearly a week and a half ago, about the time she was spotted on surveillance video. Jesse Matthews is wanted on a reckless driving charge, but so far is not facing any charges directly in connection with Graham's disappearance. And police in northeastern Pennsylvania think they're closing in on a man who shot and killed a state trooper 10 days ago. Eric Freen is still on the loose, but searchers have made an important find.
We found several items that Freen has abandoned or hidden for possible future use. Some of those items include an AK-47 style weapon and some other magazines and ammunition.
Well, cops think Freen, a survivalist, may be hiding out in bunkers in the Pocono Mountains. And climate change hits the streets of New York City this weekend. Tens of thousands turned out for what they call the People's Climate March, demanding urgent action to reverse climate change. This comes 2 days before a UN climate summit. And in California, the fight continues against several wildfires burning across the state. The biggest, called the King Fire, has now burned 130 square miles east of Sacramento. It's now threatening 12,000 homes, and a man has been arrested on suspicion of arson, charged in link to that fire. Now, here she goes right here. Take a close look. SpaceX, a new rocket carrying a 5,000-pound cargo haul, is headed to the International Space Station. It launched from Cape Canaveral. It is the 5th mission this space station has launched for the company. It is the last week it won a multi-billion-dollar contract to start ferrying astronauts to the space station in a couple of years. Now we want to focus back on terror and security concerns here at home. We had those 2 White House breaches in 2 days. Now the Secret Service, already under the microscope after a series of embarrassing scandals, is now reviewing White House security plans. Reaction has been strong as to how these breaches could happen in this day of supposedly increased awareness.
Yeah, Chris, I have great respect for the Secret Service, but this is absolutely inexcusable that he went over the fence. I believe it takes 35 to 40 seconds to run across the lawn. A dog can be released in 4 seconds. And the fact that they said he wasn't brought down because they didn't think he had a weapon. He could have had a body bomb. He could have had a vest on. As we know, he did have a knife. So this demands a full investigation, an investigation as to what happened, why it happened, and what's being done to make sure it never happens again.
Well, nothing definitive yet on what the Secret Service is going to do, but J.D., Peter King said it right there. They really got off lucky.
And this has